You know what? I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. I'm not fucking leaving!
Welcome to the new podcast of A Parallel Discussion. I'm Lalo. I'm their host, and today I won't be having my co-host Turkey. It will just be me, Lalo, and I just want to get started saying thank you to everybody who has been listening to the Parallel Discussion. Um, it's it's been fun. It's been wild. I couldn't be any happier with the turnout of having our first 15 episodes. We just released our first, I mean, our 15th episode, August 13th. And, wait, is it August 13th? Yeah, it was August 13th. And, geez, it's wild how fast time flies by when you're doing a podcast because you're just going at it week by week by week by week, and then suddenly you're like, what, this is like 15 episodes, it's been 4 months already, like it's wild. But everybody, thank you, from the bottom of my heart. I really do appreciate everybody coming. uh I want to quickly start by saying, also, thank you, to our to our uh, to our guest. I know if you guys heard some voices who you probably won't even know, and maybe you'll get to know along the route, along this journey of our podcast. And like, so first, I want to thank my one of my best friends, my brother, my I really consider this guy a brother, and thank you to Manny for joining on this podcast. For those who have listened to the first episode, we kind of just brought him in, not knowing uh, how comfortable he would be in a podcast. But I know he loves podcast. I know he listens to a lot of podcasts. So just to like have him on the podcast and just, he's not. I mean, I don't know. You guys don't really know him, but I don't see him as very of a social guy. So for me to bring him on to the podcast and for him to bring good things onto the podcast was like really fucking amazing. And I couldn't be any happier how that. I mean, the episode was kind of really out of the charts because it was our first one, but he was just one of the guys who kind of like, I don't know, like even then, like he just knows how to like even spark conversation, and he doesn't even know it. And I just want to, real quick, just want to say I love him. Um, Thank you, Manny, for joining the podcast. And I'll see you, every time I see you. Um, Second, I want to thank Delvon. It's another friend. I mean, it's crazy because we're friends, but we're not close friends. But he made his time to come down to the podcast, and it's not easy because you know we don't, obviously we don't pay people to come into our podcast. We don't pay, um like, we're just getting started. Honestly, we're not making money off of this, and for all I know, I'm not looking to make money off of this. And if it does, awesome. And if it doesn't, like, to me, I love doing this. So I want to thank Delvon. Who else did we have? Nelson. Nelson's another great friend of mine. Uh, we used to have, like, we have really mutual friends, and then we know each other from high school. So I want to thank Nelson. Beatriz. If you guys go back and listen to these episodes, you would know how much I love these people that come by. Beatriz is another one. Like I mentioned on that episode, she's one of the people who opened her doors in New York for me. Uh, she, like we said, New York's expensive, and she opened her doors to me, and she let me stay at her apartment and let me crash. And there's very few people who do that for you, and she's one of them that I really appreciate And besides that, I appreciate her friendship. I appreciate everything she does, and now I know she's doing great things. So if anybody like is doing like has a business or anything like that, or is looking to start a business, hit her up. She's on our episode 10, uh, with Beatriz, and just go back and just see what kind of knowledge you guys could get from her, and or if you just want to hit her up, we have her on our description. We have her contact on our description of the title, so that'd be great. And another person who has joined us, Los Malditos. Los Malditos were a fucking awesome episode. I really appreciate them coming through. My friend Jose, he's a good friend of mine. He's in the band, and I happened to just meet everybody else in the band because of him. And he brought his the not timbalero, I'm sorry, the conga player, Bebo, and they were a blast too. I'm kind of just summarizing all of our podcasts right now. Um, hope that everybody. I mean, if you guys listen to this episode, you guys could go back and listen to the other episodes. Um, and finally, you guys listen to or our last episode, the 15th episode was two Mexicans, one Mike, and you know what? They were they were something else. But I could tell you this: they were really fun. It was cool collabing on our podcast because we were on their podcast before we had a podcast, so it was just fun having them. And now we're both in this podcast world, so we're like just kind of helping each other out, really getting to know the ins and outs. And honestly, without Danny on that podcast, we would have never been podcasting. And I know we said this many times, but I really have to put this in on my solo podcast because like that's how much these people mean to me, that they can help us and we can help them. And this is us going now from now forward. Um so just touching bases again, this podcast is I'm by myself. I don't have my co-host Turkey. It's not that he didn't want to be here. We did mention that we were gonna make solo podcasts, just kind of like just to express our minds a little more, um, just to kind of like get more familiar with ourselves, especially learning from podcasting. It's not the easiest thing to do. I played in bands for since I was like 12 years old. Um, I know that I've played for thousands and thousands of people by now. I wouldn't say millions because I haven't played. I mean, I played some festivals, but I don't think they were like that big to be like. I mean, by now I've probably played for a couple, good 100,000 or more. So it's just different doing a podcast by yourself than it is playing for music. They play music. Um, when I played music, sometimes I just feel like people go to these festivals, to these music festivals just to get drunk. Um, and that's fine. It's okay to have a good time. Um, Sometimes I feel like people just go to festivals to just kind of relax and go out there and to the world and do whatever you want to do. But podcast is different. Like I feel like podcasts, if you turn on a podcast, you're kind of you're really in like you're really in with the podcast. You know their personalities, their the way they talk, the way they feel, the way they express themselves. And in music, you get that too, but you get that through just the music. You don't really get like unless you're relating to, trying to relate to a lyric. Yeah, but that's just the music, When you're talking to somebody and you're trying to like just to go deeper into the this person. You're just trying to just learn more about who they are, what they're about. This is what podcasts are for. I know podcasts have different. I mean, there's different. There's like storytelling, there's scary storytelling, and true crime and all this. But there's there's very few that just go and have a talk about life. And this is what's great about this podcasting. And you're kind of, I'm almost in a weird position right now. I feel like I'm interviewing myself because I I've never asked myself so many questions of like I'm answering something I'm talking about in my own head. You know what I mean? Like I'm just saying all these things about me, playing music for a long time, and I'm kind of in my head replying to myself like, yeah, it's been that long. It's been 12 years. It's been actually right now it's been what, damn, over 22 years now. uh, so it's just me talking right now. It just sounds like really weird. But without further ado, I honestly wanna just keep doing this podcasting. I wanna keep having my friends just listen to me, or anybody who's listening just give me good advice about, you know, about things I'm saying, about anything. And that's one thing that I really love about podcasting. Um, I want this podcast is not something that we just do for fun, but we just also like we just enjoy it in general. It's more than fun. I don't know. It's like a good hangout. You know, it's like a good a safe space for us to really just kind of talk and do things. Um, yeah, I want to. I can't stress it enough. I can't even um put it out there so much, but I feel like I have to, and just thank everybody who has been listening to us. Um, with this podcast right now that I'm doing by myself, I don't know how long it's gonna go for. I don't know what what I'm gonna talk to you guys about. Um, but I have been going through like I listen to every episode um from beginning to end every time I listen to them, and I listen to myself as a listener too, you know, and I've caught myself really saying like that I have a lot of things to learn, and I do. I know that maybe my vocabulary or maybe just the way I express myself isn't like the best. I don't express myself in the best way, and maybe sometimes I think that's my problem in my own personal life, that I don't express myself in the right way all the time. Um, I like to be goofy. I like to be this. I wouldn't say a class clown, but I like I like to just laugh at things. And I do have, and I told this to many people. I've told this to a lot of people that my personality like is, I'm like almost like a kid at heart, but I know when to be serious and I know how to be serious when I need to be. Um, I try not to push myself to the edge because I hate feeling that way. I hate feeling um, like I have to uh, make someone happy because I have to. I like to just be happy. You know what I mean? I don't like to be sad. And maybe this is probably causes a little bit of my anxiety too, where I just kind of like force myself to be happy all the time. And I've said this on the podcast before, where I know sometimes I act like I act like I want to make no where I say things and I could laugh at it, but maybe I said something wrong. And say something in a certain way. I'm just like, oh wait, that came out wrong. I wish I would have thought it through and said it differently. And that's one of my problems, where I'm just like, oh, I thought this was funny, and I know that maybe I've offended people, and that's not what I'm about. I hate to be a jerk. Um, I really don't like being a jerk. I like to just be a lovable guy, and 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 you know what? It's okay for someone not to dislike me. I wouldn't. I mean, if you hate me, whatever. If you dislike me, it's okay. You know, like, I mean, what am I gonna do? I'm only being myself. Um, and if you acting like yourself and you think being a jerk is being what makes you you, I mean, go for it. But just know that you have to, you know, uh, be sorry later on in life or feel sorry later on in life. I don't know what I'm going with this, but I'm just a very very chill guy, and if whoever meets me, if you know me, if you care to know me, uh, I'm an open book. A lot of times I'm a very social guy. My friends have said it. They even say it to me after during the podcast and outside the podcast where I'm just the type of guy who is gonna talk to anybody. I there is people who I stay away from. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna put it out there. I just know how to get my avoid myself from certain situations where I'm just like, okay, I don't this guy or this girl or whatever. It's making me feel a certain way where I'm just like, feel a little weird, and right away I just don't. I don't hesitate to get out of that situation. I don't think I need to. I don't think I need to put myself or anyone should put themselves in a situation where like you have to be a certain way because this person is just treating you like that way, and you feel like okay, well, I think they're cool. I think I'm gonna be there. No, no, just get away from that situation. So yes, I come from a. I wouldn't say a broken home because I had both my parents, but I had, um, I don't want to share too much about it because I don't know how my mother will feel or my siblings will feel if they hear this. But I did come from from a mother and dad who were very unstable. Um, there was lots of fights going on. I was growing up. I got to see all that, and I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from that growing up, and it's the suckiest thing to say that I had to learn from that. But it's one of the reasons why who I am now. Um, which is why maybe I'm a lovable guy because I just saw so much shit growing up, and I'm just like, damn, like I don't want to be like that. I don't want to ever like cause problems because of of a broken home. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel like I need to like really tell everybody else that I came from a broken home by being as fucked up as I could be. You know what I mean? Like I'm I'm being as genuine, as lovable as I can to anybody who meets me because that's sometimes we don't know it. Everybody doesn't know it. Nobody knows it when as you're growing up that who you're gonna turn out to be. Like we're learning ourselves. We're learning from each other as we grow older. And I've learned a lot from my parents. And it's funny because as I was growing up, I would always relate more to my dad because I thought that my dad was like this awesome guy. That took care of us and did all this for our family. But in reality, it was my mom who did a lot more that I felt that towards the end as I grew into my 20s. And I resent I don't resent anybody, but it was more like I regret myself thinking that you know that my dad did everything when it was really my mom. And so just sharing a little bit of how I grew up. I love my mom to death. She is like the person where that that first, I remember. I'm not sure if I shared it on our podcast or my buddy's podcast, but she was one of the first, like from both my parents, that really pushed us to continue playing music. Um, I remember being 12 years old, and here in LA, we didn't have venues. We didn't have places to go play inside the stage, and if you were, you had to be 21 years and older or older to play on stage. So most of our band was of the ages of 15 and 13 and 12. Well, between 12 and 15. We were all in that within that age range. So we weren't old enough to play clubs. We weren't old enough to play venues. So the big thing in LA is that you make a backyard. You pretty much whoever's doing if you have a house and you have a backyard, you tell you know your let's say you have a friend that has a backyard, like, hey, let's make a backyard. We're gonna charge, I don't know, $2-3 just to go play the backyard. And so those are the shows that we were playing, and it was crazy because a lot of kids from high schools and different high schools, they would all come to this backyard, and then we will all have this like freedom as kids to really be who we want to be. We either wanted to be part of the crowd because, well, the fans, because it was, like, it was one of those things where you kind of just click, and I remember um playing these backyards, and I'm going back to this. So one of my very, very, very first backyards, my dad had this like this van, and he pretty much on the back of the van, he had no seats. He had like one seat, and it wasn't even like a an actual seat with a seatbelt. It was like a couch. The couch was vertically on long ways of the van, and you could probably fit about 3-4 people sitting down there, and then the rest of it was empty. So we would fit in eight of the band members on the back of the van. We will jam ourselves in there with equipment and all the 8 members, and then we will all huddle up at my mom's house, my parents' house, I guess, and then we'll all huddle up. We'll get our stuff together and we'll get on this van, and then we'll go to play a backyard. So we go play this backyard somewhere down in South Central, and then I remember my dad and my mom were on the front seat. Then my dad was driving. We go to the show, and we're playing this. I think it might have been our second backyard gig. Our first one, my mom didn't go, but this was our official. We all say it was our official show because it was the one that we were practicing for. And the other one just kind of came about, and the one part, our I guess our original first one was just something that just came about. And we're like, all right, let's play it. Well, this second show, I remember we did like a battle of the bands, and it was our band and another friend's band, and I remember we pretty much unloaded our equipment, we set up, and we were there the whole night. We were just there the whole night, and it was our turn to play. Maybe about, I want to say, 60 to 40 people at that show, maybe a little less. I don't recall. But there was like less people. I mean, there wasn't a lot of people in those backyards. There was always a good amount. It felt like a good show. And we're about to play, and a few bands already played and everything. And we start playing, and for those familiar with our music, you mosh pit to this music. Well, we call it skanking because it's on the genre of ska, and skanking is like its own, like it almost looks like you're skipping and you're pushing each other out, pushing each other, and kind of just dancing on a circle. And so we start playing, and people start like kind of like moshing or whatever. But it came to a point where like no one was like really dancing, and I remember my mom like kind of just in the middle of the crowd, and she comes out and she starts skanking. She was like the person who started this pit for us, and it was so. I mean, I don't know if I was embarrassed then because I was like, oh my god, my mother's dancing in the middle of the crowd and for us, you know. But it was one of those proud moments where I felt like I was like, this is my mom, like, you know, and I still think about it to nowadays. I'm just like, fuck, like I have a fucking awesome mom, and she always supported us growing growing up on our music. And sometimes she still even asks me, hey, are you still playing your music? Are you still doing this? And I'm just like, I do it here and there. Um, so again, I've been playing music since I was 12. I play saxophone. Um, a little background of how I started playing the saxophone. I was in I was in sixth grade. I had been wanting to play music since elementary. Uh, but in elementary, I think we had to do like an essay. We had to write an essay to why we wanted to be in the. It wasn't even it wasn't even like a marching band or anything. It was a mariachi band, and then I remember writing my essay trying to get into this mariachi band because I really wanted to play an instrument. My older brother was already playing instruments in high school. He was already playing, you know, music, and I just kind of wanted to get into it too. And I've always also like growing up, I think my dad had put me in a on a on a piano class like outside the school, but it only lasted a while. Probably lasted a few months, and I didn't really get to explore it the way I wanted to learn piano. Um, so yeah, so elementary, I ended up writing this essay, trying to get into music, and I guess my essay never got chosen because I never ended up playing music in elementary. So I was kind of bummed out about it. I was like, oh well, I'm never gonna play music. And then I got into middle school, and my older brother was already out of going to high school, and I was gonna play. I mean, I knew there was a a music program, and I already knew the teacher who it was because I think my brother would always talk about him, and his name was Mr. Harris. He was my first official band music teacher, and this guy, I remember walking into his music class, and I'm just like, my brother would tell me stories about his polio, and I was like, "What's polio?" You know, it's like, it's like he would tell me, he's one of his shoes is longer than the other one because his feet are not even. I was like, oh crap! Oh, not his feet. His legs are not even, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I didn't believe what he was telling me until I actually met him, and I remember walking into his class in sixth grade, and it was beginning class. It was beginners music. So at this point, I just like, what do you? He asked me. Well, he would tell everybody, he'll go around the room like, what do you want to play? What do you want to play? And then if he saw that you had like, I don't know. I think if he saw like if you're like a big dude, like you have to be playing tuba, like you were playing the big instrument, you know. And if you were like a little skinnier and a little like in between the middle, he'll put you playing clarinet or saxophone or flute or whatever. And I was afraid of what I was going to end up playing because I was like, oh, I kind of just want to play the clarinet. I don't want anything like too crazy nor too whatever. So I ended up playing clarinet, and it only lasted a few months. Maybe it lasted like 6 months of playing clarinet because within the 6 months he saw that I started playing like I wouldn't say good like expert good, but he saw potential in me, and so I started you know playing the clarinet, and I remember kind of getting really the hang of it. But it was crazy in a way because in middle school, I knew how to play these instruments, but I did not know how to read them. I mean, I knew how to read the music. I just didn't know the the notes lettering. Like meaning, if I'm playing a G, I just know the fingering, but I don't know what note is that. You know what I mean? And so I just started playing the clarinet. I just kind of just got the hang of it, and I learned it pretty good. And within the 6 months, he goes like, "Hey, uh, he goes like, Eduardo, you're doing really good." And I'm like, uh, thank you. Like, I just don't know what I'm doing at this point. I just kind of just going with the flow and kind of learning from. I kind of just like also like turn like whenever someone's like playing the clarinet next to me, I would just kind of like just look over and I'll just like cheat off their fingering and I'll be like, okay, that's a note, you know. And so I would eventually learn how to play the clarinet, and then he goes like, "You are. I see something in you. Would you like to play a saxophone?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" You know, like, and he gives me uh this big old giant saxophone. It's called the baritone. He gives it to me, and you know, it's like a big old saxophone, and I'm like, I don't even. Like, I think at that point, at this time, during this time, 6th grade, I think I was like 5'2", 5'3", maybe 5'4", tops, and I was very short. I was very short, and and I remember picking up the baritone, and I'm like, this instrument sounds nice. I love it, but when people play it, but I felt like I was too short, and I just couldn't. I didn't want to carry this big thing around my neck, and you know, I was like, well, is there another? I know there's another saxophone, and he gives me an alto, which is like the baby one. And I was like, oh my god, this sounds too squeaky. Like I didn't like the sound of it. Like it didn't really catch my attention. And then I was like, okay. He goes like, all right, here, try this one. He gives me a baritone. I mean a baritone, a tenor. And I fell in love with it. I just from then on, I was like, boom. But I never thought that it would. I never thought that it would like really catch on the way it did to me. It did for me because as much as I loved playing an instrument, I didn't know anything about what was I gonna do like with music then, you know, until later on my brother, you know, he introduced me to music, to ska music, and he introduced me to shout out to my brother Ivan. I love you. Um, I don't really mention him, but yeah, dude, thank you. He's one of my inspirations to how I really got to play music after so many years. He introduced me to ska music, and I know it's for a lot of people. It's like, oh, music sucks, blah blah blah. But you know what? It's one of the music that really got me. One of those music genres that no one really appreciates as much as anybody as I do. I guess. If it wasn't for that, like I still would not be playing my horn right now. I don't think I would have gone to college for music, to be honest. Just like doing it for the love of it. But anywho, he introduced me to ska music, and there was this, it was this different vibe, like to this music. It was like you heard a rhythm, a guitar, this beat that goes, and then like this guitar just sounds so repetitive, like a plucking, and this like nice little groove bass, like it's just like a what do you call it, like it's like a danceable bass, and he introduced me to ska, and beyond all that, there was horn music playing. Like there was a trumpet, a trombone, a saxophone, and sometimes you would hear like a random clarinet or something, you know. And ever since then, I was like, I gotta play the saxophone. I'm gonna play the saxophone, and I just continued playing it throughout middle school, and that was kind of my really my motivation to continue playing saxophone, because I was like I know I'm not gonna play this, like I know I'm not gonna play no classical college band or classical jazz band or orchestra or like the LA Philharmonic or whatever. I knew I wasn't gonna do that because, face it, I just wasn't gonna go to school. Like I didn't want to go to school. But talking about how I told you guys how I didn't know how to read music. So same thing happened with the saxophone. I did not know how to read music. Well, I guess I did know how to read music, but I just didn't know the fingering to the notes. As if he told me, "Hey, play a G," I wouldn't know. I would not know how. And there's this funny story where my teacher actually found out that I wasn't, that I only knew uh how to just, I don't know. I don't know what it was. He just knew that I didn't know how to read music properly. And he goes like, "Play me that note on the like on the on this sheet, whatever." He told me, right? He told me, he put me on blast in front of the whole class, and I remember I'm like, because I know he has a good ear, so we were playing the sheet music, and he heard a wrong note, and hey, it's coming from you guys, and he pointed towards our saxophone section, and so I used to have this like big crush on one of my saxophone uh I guess friends next to me, and she learned how to play the saxophone um after me. Actually, I'm the one who taught her how to play saxophone, which is an ironic thing. But she really got the hang of it. She really knew how to do everything. Like she really knew what she was doing after me teaching her. Like she really got onto it. I guess I was just a good teacher, but she really picked on everything to that I was teaching her wrong to do right, you know. And so whatever, we're performing, and he stops everybody like, "Hey, someone here is playing the wrong note, right?" And he goes like, he points at the saxophone section, and I'm like, "Oh man." And he tells her, "Okay, play that note right there on the staff or whatever." And I forgot what it was. uh, and then so she plays it, and she plays it right. Then he goes like, "All right, you play that note." And I'm like, "What note?" I was like, "That G note." And I'm just like, I just kind of sat there like literally like a deer in headlights. I was like, "Oh fuck!" Like I don't know what note that is. Like, play that third note on that staff. I was like, "Oh," I'm like, "No, I," and so I played the wrong freaking note, and he just lost his shit. He lost his shit, and I'm just like, "Oh fuck!" I'm like, and then right away I knew what he was gonna do. He's like, "You're demoted to from first chair to second chair now." Well, I think it might have been third chair that time. I mean, I moved from second to third chair, or I don't know. I got demoted. The point being is I got demoted, and the girl who I had a crush on, she went up, and she ended up being like the first chair or something. And it was like one of those things where I'm like, "Oh fuck!" Like I'm never gonna get like good at this horn and blah blah blah. But that's the thing about with the music, ska music, that really got me comfortable. That I was able to overachieve um, all those moments, you know. And then I finally went to high school, and I was still kind of getting by with the same technique. I didn't really know my music reading. And finally, one of my teachers, he put me into a jazz class at USC, and in his jazz class, it was one of my personal coaches. His name was Eric. Eric, I don't remember his last name, but anywho, his name doesn't matter. We're gonna bleep that out. And he really started noticing that I knew how to read the music, but I did not know the names of the notes. And I have no idea how I got away with it for so long. I have no idea. But he kind of went back to the basics with me, and then I just started catching on, and that's kind of how I got like the love for playing music again. Like, cause at one point I was just embarrassing. It was just more like, should I even do this? Like, I'm not even like, should I just buy my own horn and just not even playing these school bands, because like I wasn't really going anywhere with it. You know, like I was like, I just gonna do it for fun. I don't want to do it for like, you know, for all these school projects or whatever. I just want to do it like for the ska music. I didn't care anymore. Well, with that being said, I was just like, well, I ended up having to quit music because I was doing really bad in school, and so I had to make up my classes, and then I ended up just buying my own horn. Well, there's a long story to buy my own horn, which I won't touch base on that. But I had quit the band, and I had just told my dad we had a big show coming up, and I had told my dad, hey, I'm not in the school band anymore. You think you could buy me a horn? And yeah, and so he did. He did like within like a week or two, and pretty cool, pretty cool thing of my dad. Uh, but yeah, that's a little thing about me um that I've learned throughout the times as I've been growing as an adult. Um, yes, so I'm probably much. I've talked about music the whole, pretty much this whole podcast, and I kind of want to talk a little bit more about how this new way of life for us. For at least for me, I don't know how you guys feel, but I've like I said, I'm a very lovable guy. Um, I don't know if I am lovable, but I like to be lovable. Is that if that makes sense? I like people. Maybe I am like, I don't know. This sounds like a little too much, but like I like people to have fun around me. You know what I mean? I hate people to like not feel like they have to be serious around me. And with that being said, I'm gonna cut this podcast here because I just kind of wanted to come out here and thank everybody, and I kind of just went off like as far as I could with my thoughts. I had to run my thoughts as much as I can. Hopefully, I could do more of these solo ones. This is my first one, exploring it, talking about my life, and I want people to really know that if you know me, and or even if we've gotten, if we don't talk as much, just know that I'm an open book. Anybody is welcome to talk to me. Um, you could text me, could call me, contact me on my IG. I don't care. People people tend to go their own ways. People are meant to go their own ways. We're not meant to always stay in touch, but it's very important that to know that we will never forget about our good friends who've been there through our tough times. And that's one thing that I want to do put out there, that if we were ever good friends or we had a good memory, contact me. I don't care. Uh, I There's a lot of people who I don't want to catch up with, and there's a lot of people maybe I've probably myself not ignored, but just easily like just fell apart, and it's okay. There's always room for getting to know uh how you been again, you know. But with that being said, guys, everybody. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. I forgot to mention this. So me and Turkey have decided that we are not going to stop at 15 episodes. That we are going to continue doing this for as long as we can. So those 15 episodes for season one, it's still a thing. We are going to move on to season two right away. And we're just going to go, you know, with with everything we got. We don't want to stop. And so you might get an episode every 2 weeks. You might get an episode once a week. Um, we're still like when we went into this, we didn't know how what we were gonna end up doing. Like we didn't know what if we were gonna stop ever at 10 episodes. We didn't know. We just thought we're gonna go as far as we fucking go, as fucking can go, and then we're gonna just But then we thought like at 15 episodes, like I felt like we're doing so good. We love the episodes. We listen to the episodes. We enjoy the episodes. Uh, and this is just that episode where we're gonna be where this is I mean this is that podcast where we're not gonna stop because whether if you guys are listening or not, we really enjoy it. So if you're still listening to this podcast and you're listening even to my own personal, not my own personal stories right now going on this episode, thank you. So expect new episodes still coming out. We're now like I mentioned this. We're now on Spotify. We're on YouTube. There you can listen to your this podcast on those two platforms. And if you have iTunes podcasts or if you have Amazon, let us know. I mean, we're just trying to expand to where everybody can listen to, but we don't want to. We also don't. We can't put everything out there unless we know, like we just kind of put it on YouTube more because we know it's a little more accessible for everybody. It's free. You don't have to pay for it. But if you have Spotify and it's just a lot easier for you, then there's Spotify. And for those iTunes, if you have iTunes, then if that's the only way you like to listen to your podcast, let us know. Let us know on the comments below, and we'll work something out. I mean, we're really just trying to get this podcast going as much as we can. We do appreciate everybody who has listened to us at least for even a minute. Even if you give us a minute of your time and you listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, or whatever, like thank you. We really do appreciate everything. Um, I can't speak on behalf of my co-host right now, but I know he'll be agreeing with me, and I also want to thank him for joining me on this podcast. The last 15 episodes, I really look forward to continue doing this thing with him. I I'm really fucking blessed to have him uh, as a best friend, as a brother, and now a co-host. So it's kind of like a coworker now, if we look at it that way. But I just want to say I love you, Turkey, and I love everybody. Please be um, aware that I'm just gonna be like that, and I could be a little too bland, too, you know, like one of my guests on my last episode said, I was like too bland. This is just me, and I care more than I should sometimes, and just this is how I am. And maybe I don't know. I'd be more worried if I give two shits about anything. I'd be more worried if I give about two shits about anything because that's just not me. And I'm gonna be there, and I'm gonna be here on this podcast, uh, really just airing out feelings, laughs, and whatever comes our way. With that being said, guys, thank you for listening to our parallel discussion, to our parallel boys. Um, you guys could find us on Instagram at aparalleldiscussion.pod. You guys could follow us on Spotify, follow us on YouTube, comment, like, subscribe. It really helps us. It really helps us, like really motivates us even more. And you guys could send us fan emails at aparalleldiscussion.ask@gmail.com. And we're kind of still waiting for our first email. So if you guys have any questions or want to come on the podcast, feel free. I want to hear you guys really just see what you guys like about the podcast, what you guys don't like about the podcast. And I mean, there's just so many possibilities of everything. And yes, guys, thank you. Lalo is out.